So I think move on to our interview, right?
Sure.
Yeah. So we're actually ecstatic to have Chris Sherry with us because Chris is what you'd call a longtime viewer, first-time guest, right? He actually does view the show. And I think what I hope that everyone gets out of tonight is the value and the strength of the relationship that law enforcement entities share with one another. We don't do policing in Danville in a vacuum. As all of you know, I'm a lieutenant with the sheriff's office assigned here as the chief. And so that shows you one relationship that the town carries with the sheriff's office. And we're going to talk about another relationship that we share with the California Highway Patrol. And so Chris Sherry has been around law enforcement for a long time. I'm going to plug a couple of quick things. One, we go to the same church, CPC. And when Chris came in and he asked, he's like, hey, where'd you get all the camera? How did you figure out how to do this? It was actually our church, Community Presbyterian Church, that stepped up like they always do and helped us come up with how to actually put this together so we could stay engaged with our family out there. And so we're very appreciative of that. So that's one of the connections and bonds that we share. And we also went, and I didn't realize this until I read his bio, but we went to Leadership San Ramon Valley. And it's a wonderful program that I'm kind of sad that in COVID is not, like all of our engagement programs, isn't.
It's Siri. Siri's our next week's special guest.
That's my watch telling me. So, oh, okay. But so Leadership San Ramon. So don't say the S word when you're on camera at all. So Leadership San Ramon Valley has suffered, but we're both graduates of that, and I think that's a good program that helps us to stay grounded in what we do. And Chris Sherry is a family man. His wife, Cheryl Sherry, we thought that was a little bit of a tongue twister. Not sure why she married him, even with having to take that last name. Wonderful first name, but I don't know if that tongue twister could pass. So great job, Cheryl. Thank you for supporting Chris. I know that our spouses and partners and families don't get enough praise and thanks. I know that Chris is here on his own time to be with us and share with you. And so, Cheryl, we're very appreciative that you share Chris, not only with the town of Danville, but literally the entire state. So a great deal of thanks and gratitude to you. So thank you very much. With that, I think we actually have an introduction video. This is our first guest to come on that has supplied us with his own introduction video. So, Amy, if we can cue that up.
Okay, sir, you're free to go. Have a nice day. You see, Chipper, be cool with them, they'll be cool with you. Whoa! Okay, Chipper, I was wrong. Let's do it your way.
Coming soon. The boys are back to clean up the streets. Hi, officers. And educate the motoring public. You've never seen PSAs like this.
Good work.
Okay, first off, for cool factor, CHP's got it in just all over the place. That is an awesome video. Clearly, they've got a production crew that far outweighs what we do here in town. But that is an awesome video. It's really cool. I actually love seeing Chipper out at the events when we have events where we used to be able to go out and associate and hang out. But without any further ado, I'd like to welcome Chris Sherry. Chris, welcome.
Good evening, Chief. Happy to be here tonight. Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, it's awesome. So I think what we were going to do was Chris was going to go over some slides. He has some really cool slides because I think part of it is, you know, if you only watch Chips, you get a small slice of what CHP actually does. And they are a very large agency that does a lot of things throughout the state that a lot of our viewers may not even be aware of. So Chris, maybe we'll go through that slide deck and you can explain what it is that CHP does.
Absolutely. And that's my goal, is to show some things that you may not know about the California Highway Patrol. Our mission is to provide the highest level of safety, service, and security. And by safety, our top priority, we want to save lives. Service, we're a service agency helping people. And security, we're the largest state police in the country. And we have accreditation. Next slide. We're accredited by CALEA, which is the Commission on Accreditation for Law Enforcement Agencies. Now, this is important. It shows that our policies, our procedures, everything we do is put up against the world's best practices and best policies, and we continually relook at our policies to make sure that we are a leader in law enforcement. I want to note that we have a special award called the Triarch Award, which means our law enforcement operations are accredited, our academy is accredited, and our dispatch centers, our communication centers are accredited. Not every agency in the country has that Triarch Award. CALEA was started by the International Association of Chiefs of Police, the National Sheriff's Association, the Police Executive Research Forum, and the National Organization of Black Law Enforcement Executives. So a lot of great minds came together, and it is an awesome organization, and we're proud to be part of that. It gives us confidence that what we do is the international best standard. So our vision for the Highway Patrol, what we want to do is we want to be a trusted leader in law enforcement and make California the safest place to live and travel. So the state is divided up into 8 field divisions. Now we're here in the Golden Gate Division, which is 9 Bay Area counties. Statewide across the state is 103 CHP area offices. I'm the commander of our Dublin area office. Here in the Bay Area, we have 12 field commands, and then we have 3 commercial vehicle inspection facilities. Statewide, there's 25 communication centers and 17 commercial vehicle inspection facilities. And in Sacramento is our headquarters and our Protective Services Division, which leads dignitary protection, governor's protection, and state property. Now our academy, where it all starts. Our academy is in Sacramento. It's in West Sacramento, and it's a live-in academy, which is different than a lot of Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. Our cadets stay the night, and they're allowed to leave if they've passed all their tests and everything's in good order on Wednesday nights for Liberty, and then on Friday evening at 5, they could leave, and they have to be back Sunday night at midnight. It's 28 weeks long, and it's everything a regular police academy would have, plus more intense traffic investigation, driving skills, different things that you would need specifically to be a California Highway Patrol officer. One of the unique things here in the Bay Area is our air operations. And our next slide will show a helicopter. We have 15 planes and 15 helicopters statewide. And here in the Tri-Valley, you might see a CHP helicopter buzzing around Mount Diablo. That could be a cyclist who's crashed, could be a major injury collision. Our air operations support pursuits, take photography of major injury accidents, and then they could go all the way over to the coast and help an injured hiker or somebody who's stuck in the surf or even a capsized vessel. Our air operations provide that service throughout the state to people for free, and it's just another great way that we provide superior service to the public. Now the next slide is about protecting the state. In 1995, the California Highway Patrol merged with the California State Police. And at that time, CHP took on many more duties. So when we're talking about CHIPS and Ponch and John, that's what a lot of people think about the CHP, but they may not know that we took on all these other duties. For instance, the security for the governor is California Highway Patrol officers. Elected officials at the state level, our Chief Justice in the Supreme Court of California in the Court of Appeals. That's all California Highway Patrol security. We also have by code, the authority. We investigate crimes on all state property throughout the state and involving state level elected officials. With those duties brought on things you would never think you'd see the CHP doing, CHP in boats, CHP officers on bicycles, CHP with canine programs. All of that is part of our safety service program. The final slide, something that's interesting, is our Amber Alert program. And I'm really proud of the Amber Alert. The California Highway Patrol is the authority, the clearinghouse of Amber Alerts statewide. And in this program, in its first 16 years, there's been a 97% recovery rate. 337 children have been recovered safely by those Amber Alerts. And that's just a great thing that we're in charge of. We also are the authority for silver alert, blue alert, and other types of notifications like that. So that is our slide presentation. And I think, Chief, you had some questions that you wanted to go over.
Well, kind of spinning off those questions a little bit, but so that just open what's interesting to me. I know a fair amount about the CHP, and still when I hear your numbers and the spread and the amount of duties you do, it is absolutely amazing. But why, let's talk about like why CHP for certain things like Amber Alert. Why does it make sense for that type of a service, law enforcement service, to be consolidated at a state level with CHP?
I would say you want consistency throughout the state, and being the state police, we want to be the leader of law enforcement, and it just makes sense that everything gets funneled to one central point, and we work together and for the betterment of the people of California. Yeah, and so how that would work typically is if we had a case, and we don't use Amber Alerts for runaway kids, their abductions, right? There's specific protocols for when you can issue an alert and when you should not issue an alert. Is that right? Sure. So one of the things that would happen would be someone would bring it to our attention at the local level, and then we would work with them. Okay, are they under 17 or younger? Is there a mental or physical disability? And then we also have to educate, all right, is it a runaway? Were they abducted? And then is there information that if we broadcast it out that would help in the safe apprehension of the juvenile, right? Is there that information? If all those things line up, then we would send it up to our emergency notification tactical center, NTAC, and then we would broadcast an Amber Alert. And I think the important part is we would never want to inundate the public with so much information that they basically turn that channel off. And so there has to be a filter so that we make sure that when it comes out, and I know I'm probably like everyone else where when I see an Amber Alert, I just go into like hyper focus mode, and I really do pay attention to that, and I really do. And it's a great service that CHP offers. But let's talk about helicopters and pursuits and whatnot. I think that's a fairly hot topic. And what people may not know is the sheriff's office, we have 2 helicopters. You have a lot of them. And East Bay Regional Parks has helicopters. And so if you think about it, Danville, you've got 680 CHP, you've got the Iron Horse Trail and Mount Diablo, East Bay Regional Parks, and then you have the sheriff's jurisdiction. So at any one day, you can have multiple helicopters, and you look up, and so often I'll get a call and says, why is there a helicopter over Danville? And I may not know, because it may be just doing some sort of check on a state park or doing a freeway check or whatever that might be. But there is a lot of air support, so that when we do get those pursuits, what is the role of a helicopter in those pursuits? Well, the role of the helicopter, number one, is the eye in the sky. You can't outrun a helicopter, but you can outrun officers. And if there's a way we could do it safer, we will. And a lot of times officers might back off and allow it to be followed by the air, and then we can make a safe arrest somewhere else when the speeds have calmed down and it's in a safer location. So that's one advantage. Also, video, there's FLIR, they can look for subjects that have fled in the scenes. So a lot of tools are in the helicopter that help us do our job. And missing persons too, right? Like we've had people that have, like elderly people that have walked away, maybe people that have walked into fields, got lost, hikers on the either Las Trampas or Mount Diablo. And so there is a lot of use to the helicopters. That's pretty interesting. But did I tell the story about how Chris and I first met? No. I don't think I did. And it's a little embarrassing for me, so I might as well tell it. But I was actually, this is 2007, no, it had to be like 2011, 2012. You were a detective, right? I was a detective sergeant, yeah. And so I'm driving on 680, and I'm talking on one of those little Bluetooth hands-free headsets, and it starts to go out, and I'm talking to then Chief Simpkins. And so as it's going out, I say, hey, Chief, just give me a second, so I pick up the phone, and I put it to my ear, and I get maybe one exit, and here comes the red and blue light. Yeah. And I, pulled over, and, I think it was then Lieutenant Chris Sherry introduced himself to me and explained to me that is against the law and I should not be doing that. And the funny part is then, what you don't know is for cops, word can get back to your boss. And so in that case, I didn't realize, but Chris Sherry already knew Steve Simpkins. And that was kind of the funny joke that got back. And so even though I didn't get a ticket, I still got in trouble, so to speak. And look at you now. At work. You're now the chief of the safest city in California. Who knew back then? But I'll say this though.
that was a good reminder. That was a healthy reminder. I was doing something that I should not have done. What I should have done was said, hey, Chief, let me give you a call when I stop the car, right? And so it was actually pretty fortunate. And so now what I do as a way to stay safe, because knowing that these cell phones are the worst thing for people driving cars, is I make sure I've got a wired headset nearby. I always have my little Bluetooth, and now cars have Bluetooth. So I try to make sure I have redundant strategies so I don't run into that same situation again. So it was pretty good on that. But so you mentioned something about your academy. You have a live-in academy?
That's right.
We don't have live-in academies. I got to go home every night.
What that means is if there's classes at night, you're gonna do classes at night. Go shooting at night. And if you fail your test and you have to stay there, you get one chance on the Monday to retake that test, and you're there all weekend studying, cleaning. The brass at the academy is so shiny. The cadets who are doing extra studying and didn't get liberty, they're cleaning and they're making the place look great, and they don't want to be sent home.
So, and I think that speaks to the high standards that all law enforcement has as far as the pass rate. It is very tough to make it through an academy, both academically and physically. And I can say that I've attended classes at CHP, and they've been absolutely phenomenal. Every time I've reached out to CHP for any type of resource, I can tell you, and I'll give you the Danville examples, that generally speaking, we have gotten extremely professional service. The relationship between CHP and your local law enforcement is very good, but who has jurisdiction and where? What is CHP's role in like the community of Danville?
That's a great question, because you may see a CHP car on a city street or driving through, but really they're going to their jurisdiction. So your viewers may want to know that in an incorporated city like Danville or incorporated city like San Ramon, there's your police department, and they would handle your traffic investigations. And they'd also handle the things that have to do with mainly penal code violations, things at homes, robberies, murders, those types of things. In the unincorporated part of town, right, you have the county sheriff, which would handle the rapes and murders and the property crimes.
Whoa. First off, slow down. How about we start with like auto burglaries, maybe thefts from autos? Like you just had to jump to the top three, huh?
And then the CHP would handle your traffic investigation. And then on freeways, the CHP is the jurisdiction on the freeways, and then on the unincorporated highways, we have the Traffic Investigation Authority. So that's how that works. So here in the Tri-Valley, on Camino Ta Sahara, as you get out, you start leaving town, Hanson Lane, it now becomes county. So CHP, we would handle collisions, and we would pull over people for speeding. And then on Stone Valley Road, as you approach Oakview Park, the CHP, that's where the town would start. But the same speeders that are on Camino Ta Sahara that are my problem coming out of the valley are now in the town. And the people that are on the town get on the freeway. And that's why I think we work very well together to make a change with the speeders to make it safer.
Well, not only that, there have been times where we've asked CHP for help. We said, hey, we want to do a day, maybe a 4-hour day, where we saturate an area and do a high level of enforcement. And so there's not a magical line that says CHP can't do law enforcement in Danville and Danville can't do law enforcement outside of the town. All of us are peace officers throughout the entire state, so we can form these teams to help solve problems. And I know there's been occasions where your team has actually come and helped us in the downtown corridor with CVC traffic violations, and on Camino Ta Sahara, kind of our two big problem areas in town. So thank you for that. And I think that demonstrates the type of cooperation that we share. So one of the things that we participate in is a vehicle theft, like a task force, but it's one that doesn't occur 40 hours a week. It's usually like a once a week sort of thing. Can you describe how CHP is maybe the point agency for events like that?
So in California, to the tune of about $1 billion, people are losing vehicles. It's a big problem. And CHP, we want to be a leader in vehicle theft. So we have officers involved in task forces. And then your regular CHP officer, we're always looking for stolen vehicles. We have license plate reader vehicles. We can run registrations on our computers. And routinely, we find people driving stolen vehicles, or we recover them where they're ditched off somewhere. But working together, we've been able to regionally move around the county and make a dent in the vehicle theft.
Yeah, and there's also the acronym is VSET. It's Vehicle Suppression Enforcement Team, I think. And so CHP kind of heads that up and runs that and organizes the agencies throughout the county. And what we do is we pick different areas where we know that thefts of vehicles are occurring. And so you might actually see a Danville car in another city, or usually once a year. Maybe they'll come to the San Ramon Valley and they'll do it here as well. But we participate in those because we know that crime doesn't know those boundaries, and the criminals that may commit a crime in a jurisdiction to the north or south may also come to Danville. And so we try to form these teams and work together with the other agencies. So what are some of the, what are the top challenges facing CHP right now?
I would say top challenges facing us. One is the mileage death rate. Right from our mission statement, we want to provide safety. We want to save lives. And the mileage death rate is a number that you take the number of traffic fatalities and multiply it into every 100 million miles driven in California, and you get a number. Well, back in the 70s and 80s, that number was a lot higher than it is now. And well, you could probably guess what's different, what changed in vehicles or society from the 70s and 80s till now, right? Mm-hmm. Airbags, better technology in the vehicles, people wear seatbelts, things like that. And then the mileage death rate started creeping back up again. And Chief, can you guess a couple reasons why the mileage death rate might have crept back up?
I'm not sure. I'm going to think about it for a minute.
Like the day I first met you.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Technology, driving under the influence of alcohol and drugs, all kinds of factors. And so that's one of our top priorities. And the mileage death rate isn't just a CHP problem. It factors in fatalities that occur in cities too. So our education efforts and our social media, we're trying to capture everybody, and all the hard work that you do with your officers affects the mileage death rate. And that's like our report card for how well we're doing our job. So when I see your traffic officers slowing people down, well, that's great. They get a ticket. They maybe won't drive that fast on the freeway Friday night, or they'll think twice about drinking and driving. It compounds, and that's how we work together. Another thing facing us, a big challenge, I'd say, is community engagement. Tough times for law enforcement. And right now during COVID, it's very hard for us to get out and have face-to-face interactions. A lot of the things that we love doing, coffee with a cop, helping the Special Olympics, getting out in the community, it's harder these days. We've done some virtual events, and we're trying to think outside the box. This show is phenomenal. I think this is a great way to build bridges of trust.
Thank you, Amy.
And educate. I think it's a great idea. So community engagement, that's another one of our top priorities. And then our third challenge, and I think you probably have the same challenge, is recruitment.
I tell you what, with the recruitment
Yeah.
challenge, I'm absolutely impressed. I mean, this is an odd climate to want to become a cop. And so people that say, you know what, I want to be the next CHP officer and help people. I want to be the next deputy sheriff with the sheriff's office and help. You have to think they're doing it for the purest reasons, because it is not to be liked by a lot of people. It is truly to go out and help people and do the right thing. When the public sentiment is the way it is, it does become a challenge, but I'm absolutely impressed with all of the cops that step forward, or all the people that step forward, raise their hand and say, hey, I would like to serve and help my community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And we talked about this earlier. I'm the fourth generation of law enforcement in my family, and I truly believe it's such a noble profession. And you are right. The people that want to join, they have something inside of them they want to serve. And that's who I want to be, a California Highway Patrol officer, somebody who wants to serve the public, to be a guardian.
So 4 generations, which agencies can you say?
San Francisco Police Department, California Highway Patrol, and Millbrae Police Department.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some very good agencies to have worked for. Yeah, that's impressive.
So I believe in this profession, and the people who want to be law enforcement officers, we want them. But it's tough. Out of every 100 people that apply for the California Highway Patrol, only 1 or 2 are going to make it all the way through the process and then through to the academy. So sometimes I think we're all the agencies, the pool is shrinking and we're kind of going after the same applicants. And then regionally, we're a statewide agency. We have to have enough people applying in all parts of the state to get enough officers for those areas. And then we want a workforce that's reflective of the people of California. So diversity, we have goals. We want to make sure that we are advertising and recruiting everywhere we can so we have a nice diverse patrol.
Well, let me that kind of brings up a good point. What in today's age where it's very tough to reach out to the community, what do you do as a CHP commander to reach out? Do you offer and you go speak to small groups, large groups? I mean, what do you do for CHP?
One of the things we do is we have an Explorer program statewide, and that's a great way to get young people in the community involved, and they can learn about not just the highway patrol, but they learn about the law enforcement profession. And many explorers go on to be great cadets at the academy and successful officers. That's one thing. We do a variety of training when we can get out into the schools at all levels. We have outreach that way, and then social media. And there's a website I want to pitch, and you may want to put it in the chat notes for everybody.
It's in the show notes.
The show notes, excellent. CHPcareers.com. And at CHPcareers.com, not only you can learn about how to be a CHP officer, but we're also hiring dispatchers, we're hiring motor carriers, we're hiring all types of positions. But that website will tell you everything you need to know, right? The age range, what are the requirements, and then more importantly, how can you get help and assistance regionally where you live, seminars on what to expect from the testing, how to prepare for the physical testing, and then finally, how to get ready for the academy. I think we have a video that I sent you that could show you some of the things that we're proud about with the Highway Patrol.
Yeah, Amy, let's cue that video up. Play it.
Are you made for more? More purpose, more opportunity, more satisfaction? A career in the California Highway Patrol will give you an opportunity to make a real difference in the lives of others while earning an unrivaled starting salary. And with a diverse variety of career paths, you can choose the one that best suits your passion in life. Do you want to join the best of the best? If the average career just won't do, apply now at chpmadeformore.com.
I tell you what, that video is pretty awesome, and I think shows a good example of what it is to be a professional law enforcement officer. And I'm still amazed. The video production is phenomenal.
Thank you. We have a lot of talented people that put together these videos.
Yeah.
And there's one video in particular, it's called We Are Yours, California. And I know it's too long to show on this show, but if you can put the link to it, we talked about that. I think that's a great representation of all the things the California Highway Patrol does 24/7 throughout the whole state. It's a great video.
So one of the things that I love about being a deputy sheriff with the sheriff's office is the diversity of assignments. I feel like, and I'm towards the end of my career, believe it or not, gray hair, but I'm towards the end of my career and I still haven't done all there is to do. I have not done like Marine Patrol. I've never been on our helicopter, and you have all of these assignments, and you can choose to be who you want to be in law enforcement. You can choose to help people in whatever way that you choose. And as I watch those videos from CHP, I'm reminded that CHP has a lot of that as well, and is from a regional standpoint, you can go anywhere in the state. And just what a tremendous opportunity to someone that's looking to serve their community to go and do it in the variety of ways that CHP has to offer. That's pretty impressive.
Absolutely.
So I think we've got some questions. You up for some questions, Chris?
Do my best.
All right. Jason?
Okay, yeah, Chris, thanks. That was, I love having guests on because I actually always learn so much from our guests. I thought I knew a little bit more about CHP than I actually do, but yeah, very informative, Chris.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. We got a few questions for you, Chris. Somebody was saying how there was a huge uptick in excessive speed since the pandemic. Are you still noticing that? Triple-digit speeders and just speeders in general?
Not as much. When COVID hit, the number of the traffic volume decreased, and we saw this across the state. People driving over 100 miles per hour, and it was free open freeways. So we had to respond to that, and, put more units out there, aggressive enforcement and education. And we got a handle of that.
Okay, so I've got to admit, and I'm going to do another shameless CHP plug here, but if you want to see some really cool photos and what your CHP is doing for you, go to their Twitter page and their Facebook page, because they will post, speeders just doing unreasonable things. And I think it really shows the effort and the work that CHP is doing, but it's a good engagement tool. And so we've also got the Twitter and Facebook down in the show notes. So be sure to click on those, like and subscribe to those as well, because it's entertaining. And I always say that we entertain with a purpose, and the purpose is to get a message out there on how to keep yourself safe. So,
Alan, one thing about those speeding tickets and those stops, a lot of people think, wow, all those traffic stops, the CHP must be getting rich. Look at all the money they're making. We have a $2.5 billion budget, but none of that money comes from traffic citations. So when somebody pays a violation for a ticket, that doesn't go to the CHP fund. Our budget mainly comes from vehicle registrations, motor vehicle account. So that's something that a lot of people may not know.
Yeah, it's interesting. People, the same for us. They say, oh, you're writing tickets to make money. And I think when we did a study about 2011 or 2012, it proved to be about 2 to 3% of our total budget was generated from that. Now it's closer to about 1% or less. And frankly, my traffic unit represents about 10% of my total budget. So if you're just checking numbers on a spreadsheet, financially, it doesn't make sense for us to run a unit to make money. We do it because we're protecting and helping save people's lives. So that's a good point. So any other questions there, Jason?
Yes. We got some fans of your Facebook page, and I am a fan of your Twitter page. I don't know if it's yours or Martinez's office, but they put out some funny tweets. Jeff Jarvis, and I apologize, Jeff, I think I called you Jim earlier on the show, wants to know, we had some protests here in, I think they were mainly in Walnut Creek, the ones that took over the freeways. Can you talk a little bit about how your office dealt with those freeway protests?
Absolutely. And we were actually here in Danville assisting you guys with some nice demonstrations that didn't get out of hand. And one of the parts of our strategic plan is to assist our allied agencies. So when somebody needs help and they call for the CHP, we're going to be there. And here in Danville, people were protesting, they were demonstrating in a peaceful way downtown, and then they were going to go march. One of our goals is to assist the PD and make sure that their First Amendment rights are protected. We want to make sure they're protected. And we had officers staged at the on-ramps to the freeway, because while we want to be there to protect you while you're exercising your First Amendment rights, it's not a good idea to allow people to march onto the freeway where vehicles are driving really fast. And when people do get onto the freeway, then think of the havoc that it creates where people are stuck in traffic. And what if an ambulance has to get through? Or someone has to get, emergency, or commerce has to, get through. So that's why we, do what we can to prevent people from getting onto the freeways where it's not a safe situation. And then we're also here providing assistance if things ever get out of hand. And I'm really proud to say here, from my viewpoint, the protests were very well done. And I actually listened in, and I feel like I learned some things. I'm very proud of what I heard here in Danville.
Yeah, it was actually nice to see people from all backgrounds and age groups get up and talk and kind of share their experience during those protests.
Yeah, another thing that when there is civil unrest, we're also in charge of state property and infrastructure. So in addition to protecting the freeway system, there are state buildings, buildings where state level elected officials, the courts, DMVs, and this California Highway Patrol, we will go there to protect our state assets as well.
Awesome. Do we have any other questions for
Yeah, I have one more, and you kind of touched on it, Chris, when you talked about helping out your regional partners like us here in Danville. But I imagine you help you work with federal agencies as well. So do you have any sort of thing to say about how you work with the federal agencies, such as the FBI or Department of Homeland Security?
I don't have too much to say about that,
Okay.
other than when we need some resource help, We do work with the FBI. We may share some information that way for an investigation, but mainly our goal here is traffic safety and, that mileage death rate and saving lives. We do that through, and I know you've talked about it here on the show, through 3 E's: enforcement, education, and engineering. And the enforcement angle, that's obvious. That's writing tickets, stopping reckless drivers, arresting drunk drivers, okay, doing pedestrian sting operations, those sort of things. The educational component is all of our social media, all of those great videos that our talented people are making, the presentations in the older driver, high school, teenagers, and then finally in the engineering, working with Caltrans, county roads. Speaking of engineering, I know the town of Danville is buying a lot of green paint, and I know that's going to be on some of our jurisdiction as well to make bike safety. And that's another example of working together to come up with ideas, talking to traffic safety stakeholders, and then applying something different to make it safer. In this case, it's for bicycle safety.
Awesome.
Yeah, I think the bottom line is we're all law enforcement agencies that have specific tasks, but we're all very willing to work with each other if our tasks somehow coincide with another agency's task, whether that be you guys at the state or one of the federal agencies. Every one of these agencies is willing to help out the other if asked.
And sometimes it's just sharing the burden, right? Like we may get inundated in Danville with a problem, and we're going to need to ask for immediate help. And I feel very good knowing that I've got CHP partners, I've got Ceramon, of course, we are the sheriff, so we've got resources and supplies from the sheriff's office, but we've got a lot of law enforcement that works together. And when you talk about like the FBI, we were just on a call today, just an update call with various agencies that have different types of acronyms all over, just getting an update and just knowing that we're all on the same page should something bad happen. And so there is that coordination that does take place. And I did get a question earlier this week, and I thought it was kind of appropriate to answer it on the show, that, what is going to happen if there's future protests or potential looting or riots, and we fall back on what our mission is, and that's to protect the lives, rights, and property of the people we serve. We're going to ensure the rights of people to protest or peacefully protest are held, and we're going to protect those while maintaining the property rights and the lives of the other people that we serve. So we will always be there to make sure that we can manage that. And if we need to, we've got great resources like our partners at CHP to help out. So.
Absolutely.
All right. So I think that's all of our questions. So I'd like to thank Chris Sherry. Well,
there are some questions that are more specific to Danville. So let's not cut the show.
Yeah, so that's all of our questions for Captain Chris Sherry. I'd like to say thank you to Captain Chris Sherry. Thank you to the CHP for loaning us Captain Sherry and for being such a professional organization that is always willing to help out. And then, as I said at the beginning, a very special thanks to Cheryl. Cheryl, thank you very much for allowing Chris to be so good at what he does. I know that it takes a very supportive family to do this, so a very special thanks to you. Thank you, Chris.
Thanks, Chief. I had a great time.
We hope you enjoyed that clip. It was cut from our live show, 10/8 in Service, where every Wednesday night we go live on Facebook and YouTube. Please be sure to like that video, subscribe to our channel, and hit that notification bell so you can be notified every time we go 10/8 and in service to all of you.